Warning: the following video contains explicit language, which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Are you ready? Hey everybody, it's Jeff. Good to see everybody. So, how are you holding up on the heat? Especially those of you in the south. It's got to be wicked. Droughts and all that. Oh, Jesus, and it's what do they say? It's like the hottest summer this year. I mean, this year's the hottest summer ever recorded, I guess. They said, I think I heard them say that temperatures like this weren't this high since like 1,000,000 years ago or something. I mean, I don't know how the hell they can figure that, but so there's never been a recorded account of temperatures like this since before we started cataloging this stuff, okay? And that's obviously not good, okay? Because that means a lot of places, even in the ocean, are seeing some damaging results. I mean, the ocean water around the state of Florida is like 90 plus degrees, which is dangerous because one thing, it takes the oxygen out of the water, killing the fish, and because of the high temperature of the water, when hurricanes form, those hurricanes are going to be way, way stronger than they used to be. So, that's not good. I'll tell you. I really, we're going to see, at least in my lifetime, I'm only 51, so we're going to see a lot of pretty hateful weather patterns becoming a reality here for all of us. And I can just imagine, how things will change here where I live. Even though it's in Maine up north, I noticed the winds, we get high winds around here when the seasons change, which we never used to really get, at least as, back in the 80s, we never would get stuff like that. But now it's every year. We get in them like maybe 2 or 3 times a year, these high winds, and always right around the seasonal change. And they can get pretty vicious. I mean, they've knocked over trees and power lines and blew siding off the homes, and hey, come on, don't do that, Smoke. Okay. So yeah, it's even around here. We're going to start seeing some pretty drastic effects of the climate warming up. But you ain't going to pay me enough fucking money to go live in some of these southern states, because even if it's a dry heat, Smoke. Will you get down from there? No, come on. Cat. I see you. So yeah, I mean, who the hell's gonna want to live in those states right now? Like I said, you couldn't pay me enough money to move down there. Dry heat or humid heat don't make any difference. At 100 and something degrees, it's too high. At any rate. Okay, so open up this window here. So, speaking of climate problems down in Florida, a lot of insurance companies are just splitting, okay, gone. Actually, AAA left there this week. They see the handwriting on the wall, and they know that bad times are coming for that state, and insurance companies are about profit, not loss, okay? When you pay into them, they like the money coming in, they don't like it going out, okay? So naturally, they're going to split. And, you know, I have to wonder, you know, people are saying, well, this is good for hedge fund companies who are going to want to go down there and buy up homes because people are leaving, buy up homes and turn them into rents. And I'm thinking, well, that might be all fine and dandy, but why aren't they asking people why they're leaving Florida? It's not because they feel like, oh, we should just go someplace different. No, they're leaving Florida because of the extreme heat and the weather getting more violent, and the fact that their homes can't be insured. So what makes them think that a rent is going to make any difference down there? All you're going to be doing is putting up rents that can't be insured, okay, to the company building them, and trying to get people to move in them, which, if people are leaving the state, why would they want to go back? You know what I'm saying? Does that sound like a really, logical thing for a company to do, is to buy the homes that are being left and turn them into rents? I mean, how much money could they possibly? I mean, they'll be looking at a loss. It's only going to take one big fucking hurricane, and that's coming, to wipe out a whole area, and all those rents are going to be gone. What do you think they're going to be looking? All the profits they made in that short period of time are going to be gone. I mean, that's it. No more apartments, no more nothing. Okay, then let's take into effect how storms are going to affect utilities down there. I mean, the power grids and all that stuff. I mean, who's going to want to rent in an apartment that's going to be hot when the power is out and you ain't got no AC running? Okay, you could rent them places out for $1 a month, and no one is going to want to move down there for the same reason why people are leaving there. Okay, so it's not a good idea to take and buy up homes being left behind and trying to turn that into a profitable rent for some people, because it may sound good in the short term. People say, oh, I can go to Florida and live in a wait till you have your first hurricane season down there and then find out just how good it was to be there. I'll tell you, it's only going to take one big storm and all those renters are going to get the fuck out of Dodge. I mean, they're not going to stay. It's a dumb idea that people are going to want to buy up these places and turn them into apartments. So let me read this article here from USA Today, and it's written by Kinsey Crowley, entitled, "Another Company Avoids Risky Florida Home Insurance Policies. Here's What Caused the Crisis." Whoops. Hold on a second here. Okay. A nursing home in Florida got a little bit more difficult this week after AAA joined a growing list of companies that are ending some homeowner insurance policies in Florida. The Florida-based insurer will not renew package policies that combine home, automobile, and optional umbrella coverage, according to the Palm Beach Post, part of the USA Today network. With hurricane season around the corner and drastically fewer insurance offerings, this could leave some vulnerable. Oh shit. While AAA's move will only affect a quote-unquote small number of policyholders, the news was almost swept away in the deluge of news following Farmers Insurance announcement that they were pulling out of the state. We are farmers. Yeah, they're gone. The back-to-back announcements underscore the insurance crisis Florida residents have been facing for the past 18 months. And it's a crisis that largely man-made, according to Mark Freelander, spokesperson for the Insurance Information Institute, as several local insurance providers folded and 3 national insurers have withdrawn from the state. Despite recent legislation intended to alleviate the problems fueling the crisis, he said the market volatility persists. Quote, "Case in point, insurers are making decisions to pull back on risk, and AAA is certainly a recent example of that," unquote, said Freelander. How this crisis had started: the crisis is man-made because it is largely fueled by frivolous lawsuits and fraudulent insurance claims. Friedlander said a 2017 Florida Supreme Court ruling in favor of plaintiffs opened the door for a large volume of roofing scams and claim litigation. During the last 3 years, 80% of property claim lawsuits in the country have been in Florida, compared to just 9% of the claims. The litigation costs proved to be too much for local residential-only insurers and prompted 7 of them to become insolvent. For national insurers, the costs have translated to higher premiums or fewer policy offerings. Florida's hurricane risk has also played a role, as extreme weather has in many other states. Hurricane Ian, for example, in September of 2022, posted the greatest insured loss after Hurricane Katrina, according to CNBC. 3 major companies have voluntarily withdrawn from the state since last year: Farmers, Bankers Insurance, and Lexington Insurance, a subsidiary of AIG. AAA is not renewing a, quote, very small percentage of higher exposure homeowners policies, unquote, it told the Palm Beach Post. It has also released a statement saying that it is continuing to write new policies in the state. Friedlander said there are also 15 businesses that have stopped writing new policies but declined to name them. 7 local insurance companies have become insolvent since February of 2022. How is it going to affect the premiums? Florida homeowners already pay more than the national average, and the premiums are only on the rise. According to an analysis by the Insurance Information Institute, homeowners in Florida pay $6,000 a year on average for homeowners insurance. That's up 42% from last year. The average in the U.S. is $1,700. A depleted supply is partly responsible for driving up those costs, but not as much as litigation, according to Friedlander. How are the homeowners responding to this shit? The crisis is pushing more homeowners to go bare or decline purchasing homeowners insurance. In Florida, nearly 15% of homeowners do not have insurance, double the national rate. Friedlander attributed this to the crisis. This is only an option for those without a mortgage. Florida homeowners are also opting to enroll in the state-backed backstop insurer Citizens Property Insurance Corporation. Friedlander said that Citizens' market share has doubled in the last 18 months, as it averages 30,000 new subscribers each month. That's a lot. While state-operated insurers are common, he said that typically the rates are higher than private insurance to keep them as a last resort option. In Florida, Citizens' premiums are lower than private insurers, which have skyrocketed past the limit that Citizens is legally allowed to charge. As a result, Citizens is taking on more risk than it can fund in the face of major disaster. Should Citizens experience a payout shortfall, all taxpayers in the state would be on the hook to bail it out with a multi-year hurricane surcharge on their tax bill. Quote, so it's a bad situation, unquote, said Friedlander. Quote, we never want to be in that situation, unquote. Okay, so that kind of lays out the realities of what's happening in Florida for those who are losing their insurance companies down there. To be honest, I'm surprised there are still as many as there are still insured, but the fact is that nobody wants to live in a state that's got hurricanes like that and not be covered under something, because you know what those hurricanes do to property. I mean, it just devastates it. I mean, I lived down there through a hurricane once, and of course it was nothing like the hurricanes that get there now, but you know, it does considerable damage, you know, and we were right on, let's see, where was it? It was in Florosa, I guess was the name of the town, or is it no, Mary Esther, Florida. Okay, I keep forgetting that name. Mary Esther, Florida. That's where we were in Florida. That's not down at the bottom of the state. That's more up on the top, right above the Gulf, where, okay, you'll find it up there. It's not a big community, but it you know, was it sat right along the water. Okay, so it was bad enough, you know, to get the wetness and the rain and the damn, you know, wind and all that. Okay. wind so strong that it blew the roof right off of our porch. Okay, took it right off, but the roof was made out of like this tin, whatever the hell it was, so it was probably easy to blow off anyway. We didn't replace it because, you know, it just seemed like the porch looked better without the roof on it in the first place, so we just decided to just roll that piece of metal up and send it to the dump, you know, and so we had a sun porch. But our trailer, you know, it moved, you know, even though my father had tied it down on the sides. I mean, it was wiggling there and bouncing. You know, we were in there, and the power flickered, and, you know, other homes got more damage as debris kind of went into the windows and, you know, and stuff like that. Even though we had duct taped the windows, like I guess you normally would do in a hurricane before it comes, is you take duct tape and you tape the windows, you know, hoping that it'll make them less likely to just explode, you know. I guess it helps. I don't know. Maybe not these days, but, you know, that's what we did. And, you know, the winds, you know, they were terrible. I mean, just loud, and it felt like a train was running by the house. And, you know, it's no fun thing to be inside, stuck inside of one of them, you know, one of those things. And it went on through the night, and by morning it was sunny out and everything, and then we could go around and see the damage. People down there acted like it, you know, it's just another day in paradise, because it's like, you know, in Maine we get snowstorms, we don't care. Down there they get hurricanes, they don't care, you know. But these days, the kind of categories they're getting for hurricanes down there are way stronger than that one hurricane we went through down here in Florida. Jesus. So yeah, it's not a good situation for people to live in that state. And now, you know, people that, you know, are well-to-do and they live in nice homes down there, if they try to sell their homes now, they're going to sell it for a loss, because the property values have gone down considerably. And, you know, I don't see that that's going to reverse, because as situation gets more dangerous down there, the property values will continue to plummet. You know, I was thinking, you know, what's going to happen to Disneyland down there, okay? You know, Disneyland sits right at ground zero here for the hurricanes. And not only that, because of rising sea levels, that part of Florida is going to be underwater. So at what point is the company going to close down that theme park and move inland? Or are they just going to lose that and we're not going to have another Disney thing down there? I mean, maybe that's the reason why the Star Wars exhibit down there is so shitty, because maybe they figured, we're not going to spend a ton of money on this down here because this place is going to be like underwater in like under 50 years from now. You know, it's like, well, why don't you just shut the whole goddamn thing down and stop adding to it, because you're just, you know, it's stupid. It's going to be at a loss. You're bitching you're losing money now from the movies and stuff that you're making on streaming service. What do you think that loss is going to be to you financially? Okay, what do you think that's going to add up to? That's, I mean, obviously that's not a good place to have a theme park now. You know, all the others like SeaWorld and Six Flags, whoever else is down there, they're all going to have to move out of that state. Okay, and when that happens, businesses are just going to die all around those areas. Okay, and that's really I think it's going to be the deciding factor for a lot of people to get out of Florida, is when there's no work to be had, you know. And you know, I can't imagine the future of Florida being any more bleak than that, and why no one should really be moving down there to live. But I like I said, I feel bad. I mean, I got a relative that lives down there, and you know, she had to move out of her house because where her house sat was like level to a swamp that was just across the dirt road from her house. And her husband used to go over there and fish all the time. But I imagine when the hurricanes come, that water was just going right into the yard. Her son lived next door to her. They had a big piece of land, and he left Florida because, you know, the friggin' weather down there was just too much. And so he up and sold his house and left. And so you know, I can't see that living down there these days is really a good thing, because at least, within 40 years, I mean, people are going to start seeing all kinds of homes just getting battered to shit down there, and it's going to be obvious that they should have moved out when they could. Now I realize that it costs money to move, okay? Even as a renter, it costs money to move from one apartment to another, because the other landlords always want like 2 months in advance for the rent before you can get into the damn thing, which is, I don't understand why that is, but it makes it harder for people to move when the renters are asking up for so much damn money in advance. I think that when I moved here, I had to put aside $3,500 just to get into this apartment from the other place I was at. Of course, you have to pay up a little bit at the previous place so you have time to pack up and move. Then you got to put your first and your first 2 months of rent, whatever, in up to hold the apartment that you're moving to. So I don't know, it's wacky anyway. But the thing of it is that even for renters in Florida or whatever, it's costly to just up and leave, and then you got to figure you're gonna have a job wherever you're going, so you're gonna have to do a lot of preparation for the destination you're going to. Especially if you're moving to another state, you got to be sure that there's something there for you. I spoke to somebody today works at Chili's, and they said they were leaving to move to upstate New York. I guess the reason was that there just isn't enough around here to keep her here. The work is just very scarce, and they don't pay nothing. And I think what she's looking for is a place like Maine, but has better opportunities. Okay, and I told her I didn't blame her, because that's been an ongoing problem in this state since I was born here. Okay, no matter who the hell the governor is, Democrat or Republican, the problem has always been the same. Businesses just die here. They come to Maine to die, apparently. And it's very hard to keep kids after they finish their schooling to stay in this state, because there's not work around here that's comparable to the kind of education that they went to college for that could pay them decent money. All right, I mean, it's sad, but that's the way it is, and it's really frustrating that it doesn't matter what party is in power here. And I'm not shitting on our current governor. I mean, she's done pretty well during the pandemic and all that, and kept the state going. But a lot of people that are still working are working at half part-time wages and stuff like that, and it's not working out, because places are still looking for help, and people they're being more particular now about the work they need, because they're looking for a certain income bracket to fall into so they can afford to stay here. Right now they're probably staying with their parents, but they can't stay here or live here on their own wages. They're not making enough, so it's a hard reality for a lot of people, and that's why a lot of them decide, well, if I can find someplace better job, cheaper rent or something like that, that's where I'm going to have to go. Can't stay here. Okay, so let's go to a commercial break. We'll be right back.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Ruth McLaughlin, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
Dear Republicans,
How can Joe Biden take your guns away?
He's going to take your guns away, you know that, right? Biden.
Didn't Barack Obama take them away in 2008 and 2012?
Obama wants your guns. How is that anything but fear-mongering?
It is actually quite accurate.
There have been more guns sold since I've been president than just about any time in U.S. history.
Oh, right. It was just another Republican lie. It never happened. Donald Trump and the Republicans have been using this fake threat for decades. And while we're clearing up BS, Joe Biden doesn't want to defund the police.
I'm the only one who's talked about increasing police budgets.
Joe Biden isn't soft on border security. Joe Biden won't raise your taxes unless you make over $400,000.
I'm really rich.
And remember all those Hillary Clinton she's dying stories from 2016?
She can't make it 15 feet to her car. Give me a break.
More BS.
I do have the unique experience of having shared a debate stage 3 times with Donald Trump, and I know that he will do or say anything.
She's fine.
Some people have a deep, abiding respect for the natural beauty that was once this country. And some people don't. People start pollution. People can stop it. Write for Pollution Booklet, Box 1771, Radio City Station, New York.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it. It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Okay, everybody, welcome back. So a story out of Texas concerning immigration here. Rather troublesome kind of story, but really, if you know Governor Abbott down there, it shouldn't surprise you that this is happening here. So let me read this to you from the Texas Tribune, written by Uriel J. Garcia. State investigating claim that DPS troopers were told to push migrants back into the Rio Grande and deny them water. The Office of the Inspector General is investigating the claims, which include pushing small children and women with nursing babies back into the water and turning away a 4-year-old girl who later passed out on the riverbank from heat exhaustion. A state trooper claims that superiors ordered officers at the border in Eagle Pass to push migrants back into the Rio Grande and deny them water has sparked a state investigation, the Texas Department of Public Safety said Tuesday. The trooper also reported that razor wire deployed by troopers has injured people, including a woman who had a miscarriage while being entangled in the wire. Travis Considine, a DPS spokesperson, said in the email that the Office of the Inspector General, which investigates claims of misconduct by state employees, quote, is investigating the allegations made in the email in question, unquote. Quote, there is not a directive or policy that instructs troopers to withhold water from migrants or push them back into the river, unquote, Constantine said. The allegations made by the trooper were first reported by the Houston Chronicle. The trooper, who works as a medic, sent the email to a sergeant on July the 3rd, detailing some of the things he witnessed while on patrol in Eagle Pass, where Governor Greg Abbott recently ordered the deployment of a floating barrier in the Rio Grande to deter migrant crossings. Quote, I believe we have stepped over a line into inhumane. We need to operate this thing correctly in the eyes of God, unquote. The trooper wrote in the email, which DPS provided to the Texas Tribune, quote, we need to recognize that these are people who are made in the image of God and need to be treated as such, unquote. The trooper said in the email that he was out on patrol around 10 p.m. June 25th when he and other troopers came across a group of about 120 people, including small children and nursing babies who were, quote, exhausted, hungry, and tired, unquote, along a fence line on the U.S. side. Quote, we called the shift officer in command, and we were given orders to push the people back into the water to go to Mexico. We decided that this was not the correct thing to do with the very real potential of exhausted people drowning. We made contact with command again and expressed our concerns, and we were given the order to tell them to go to Mexico, unquote. The trooper wrote in the email that 5 days later, a 4-year-old girl who attempted to cross the razor wire, quote, was pressed back by Texas Guard soldiers due to the orders given to them, unquote. The temperature, quote, was well over 100 degrees, unquote, and the girl passed out, the email said, adding that she had received medical treatment. That same day, a man rescued his child who got stuck on a barrel in the water covered with razor wire, according to the trooper's email. During the rescue, the man got a, quote, significant, unquote, cut on his left leg, the trooper wrote. A 15-year-old boy also broke his leg trying to walk around the wire in the river, and his father had to carry him across to the U.S. side, the trooper wrote. Later that night, troopers found a 19-year-old woman stuck in the razor wire having a miscarriage, the trooper's email said. On the afternoon of July 1st, Border Patrol reported that a mother and her 2 children were struggling to cross the river. The email said, a DPS boat team found the mother and 1 child who later died at the hospital. The body of the second child, quote, was never found, unquote, the trooper wrote. The trooper also told the sergeant the razor wire is an inhumane trap that should be removed because, quote, it forces people to cross in other areas that are deeper and not as safe for people carrying kids in bags, unquote. A pecan farm owner in Eagle Pass told the Chronicle that officials working for Abbott's border security operation refused to take down razor wire on his property, despite his multiple requests. The farmer, Hugo Urbina, said many people, including a pregnant teenager, have been injured by the wire that the state installed against his wishes. DPS told the Chronicle that under a border-related disaster declaration the governor signed in 2021, the state can use private property without the owner's permission. How convenient. In 2021, Abbott announced Operation Lone Star, a series of border security measures that include sending state troopers and National Guard members to the Texas-Mexico border to deter or arrest migrants attempting to cross the Rio Grande. Abbott has also ordered shipping containers and concertina wire to be placed on the riverbank to serve as barriers. The legislature has allocated nearly $10 billion for Abbott's border security efforts, which include the construction of border walls. The Department of Justice began investigating whether troopers or National Guard members have violated the civil rights of migrants during Operation Lone Star, according to emails obtained last year by the Tribune and ProPublica. At a media briefing on Tuesday, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said she condemned the troopers' actions, quote, if they are true, unquote. Quote, it is abhorrent, it is despicable, it is dangerous, unquote, she said. U.S. Representative Joaquin Castro, Democrat, San Antonio, said the details outlined in the troopers' email are an, quote, absolutely monstrous, inhumane policy, unquote, and added that he urged the Biden administration to intervene and, quote, remove the death traps Abbott has installed for the sake of human rights, unquote. Considine, the DPS spokesperson, said in a tweet on Monday that, quote, troopers give migrants water. They treat their wounds. They save them from drowning. They also do everything possible to deter them from risking their lives in the first place, unquote. Considine also attached small emails from DPS Director Stephen McCraw to his chain of command. In an email sent on July 15th, McCraw calls for an audit of DPS's protocols to determine if more can be done to minimize the risks to migrants. Quote, the smugglers care not if the migrants are injured, but we do, and we must take all necessary measures to mitigate the risk to them, including injuries from trying to cross over the concertina wire, drowning, and dehydration, unquote, McCraw wrote. Andrew Mahalaris, a spokesperson for Abbott, didn't address the claims made by the trooper, instead blaming President Joe Biden's immigration policies. Quote, the absence of razor wire and other deterrence strategies encourages migrants to make unsafe and illegal crossings between ports of entry, while making the job of Texas National Guard soldiers and DPS troopers more dangerous and difficult, Mahalaris said in a statement. Quote, President Biden has unleashed a chaos on the border that's unsustainable, and we have a constitutional duty to respond to this unprecedented crisis, unquote. State Representative Victoria Neve Curado from Dallas, Democrat from Dallas, chair of the Mexican-American Legislative Caucus, said state lawmakers plan to investigate the claims. Quote, the treatment of our fellow humans on the Texas-Mexico border by DPS is unconscionable and unacceptable, unquote, she said in a statement. Quote, the Mexican-American Legislative Caucus calls on Governor Abbott and those of good conscience to denounce DPS's directives, and we will use every legislative tool to investigate these injustices, unquote. Domingo Garcia, president of the League of United Latin American Citizens, a Latino civil rights organization, condemned Texas, quote, inhumane treatment of innocent people, unquote. Quote, these are Christian refugees, and they deserve to be treated with dignity and respect, unquote, Garcia added. Quote, Operation Lone Star is utterly barbaric, and Governor Abbott and all those supporting him must answer for their actions. What would Jesus say about such treatment of the most vulnerable in our society, unquote. Adriana Martinez, an associate professor of geography at Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville, who studies the effect of border barriers on the Rio Grande, said that immigrant rights advocates have been warning Abbott that his deterrence policies would not work and in some cases would make things worse. Quote, how many layers do you have to put before you realize they're not working and it's just putting people's lives in danger, unquote, she asked. State Representative Matt Schaefer, Republican from Tyler, whose Twitter bio says, quote, "God is sovereign, Jesus saves," unquote, said in a tweet on Tuesday that he supports Abbott's efforts. Quote, "If in fact Greg Abbott is taking a bolder approach to border security by directing DPS troopers to repel illegal crossers, he has my full support," unquote, he tweeted. Quote, "Every Republican legislator should be speaking up as Democrats and the media tried to shame Abbott into backing down." Okay, well, obviously this is a troubling thing going on down there, if it's, as they say, true. It's only alleged right now and from an email, but I can't imagine anyone, writing a whole thing like that up and not having it be true, okay? But they're going to investigate. But here's the thing. The idea that Republicans are all about, life and the sanctity of life and stuff like that, as they have constantly told us they are, how could they possibly back something like this where a pregnant woman had a miscarriage while she got tangled up in Greg Abbott's fucking, chain link fence or whatever the hell they call that wire, and they feel okay with that? Doesn't that sound like a big, huge, hypocritical thing to do? If they care so much about life, why are they so easy to take it? Maybe it's because it's Latino life and they don't give a shit about Latino life. Maybe that makes it easier for them to do these heinous things, okay? Which only opens up, them to being racist, in which they say they're not. They say, "Oh, there is no more racism in America." Okay, yeah. Well, there's still the Republicans are still racists. Okay, and that means racism is still alive and well in this country. Okay, so don't tell me that. They are racist. And here's the thing. When Title 8 faded and Title 42 came back and took its place, what Title 42 does is if a person tries to cross the border, okay, illegally, they are turned around, okay, they're sent back, but they're told if you try it again, you get 5 years in prison, okay, if you try to do this again. But they have an app that they give the people that they can use to register or try to sign up to be citizens in this country, okay, so they can do this on their own, okay. Now before when we had just Title 8, okay, these people could come across the border illegally as many times as they want with no penalty. They were just picked up and dropped off at the place of their choice, and that that's how it went. And they bitched and bitched and bitched about that, blaming Biden that, the Biden administration doesn't want to do anything to these people, and they were using that as their argument, okay, that it was Biden's fault, when it was actually a Trump policy that was put into place, okay, that was being used to supposedly control the numbers of people coming across the border. Well, now that policy has sunset, okay, and the old one has come back, 30% less people are trying to cross the border than they were before when Trump was president. 30%, okay? And that's not enough for the Republicans. Oh no, we have to mine the fucking rivers. We gotta put razor wire in the goddamn water. We gotta, push them back in there and let them drown. It's not enough for Greg Abbott that, hey, you guys are getting less people going across the border now than you did, a year or two ago. Okay? But now you're sitting here, you're still bitching that Biden's not doing anything, and you guys are throwing everything you can put at these illegals coming across, and it's not stopping them, okay? Even though you threaten them with prison time. No, it's not enough. The sending them to jail is not enough for you guys down there, especially, you want to turn around and try and kill them instead. I mean, what's the next thing you're going to do? You're going to put guard towers up on the border of Texas and just start shooting at people the minute you see them? I mean, is that the way we're going to do it? It's going to look like the Escape from New York, where you surround a whole city with a goddamn prison wall and you got guard towers everywhere and they start taking pot shots at people they see trying to cross. I mean, is that where this is going? And then you're going to turn around and bitch, oh, the president's not doing anything about this. Well, if you guys are taking the extreme measure to try to stop it and it's satisfying you, then why are you blaming the president for it? You know, what the hell gives? How can you get away with blaming President Biden for the problem that you guys are dealing with and escalating on your own down there, okay, as being such a big thing when the numbers show that there's way less people trying to cross the border now than there was before? You see, they're being hypocritical and they're being, you know, they're trying to spin this around to somehow stain Biden with it. You know, throwing shit on the wall to see what'll stick is basically what they're doing, okay? They, you know, they're never going to tell you that this was all Abbott stuff. I mean, even though they're trying to go down and figure out why the hell is he doing this to these people down there? What's making him want to try and go this barbaric route to try to stop people from cutting across the border here? You know, I mean, it doesn't make any damn sense. Okay, he's making it look like that there is such a torrent of people coming across the border that it's like an invasion into our country. Okay, no, there was an invasion of a sort in this country before under Trump, but now under Biden it's gotten less, way less. Okay, because now the people trying to cross realize that they could go to prison for 5 years if they repeatedly try to keep coming back. Well, they don't want to do that. Okay. Before, hey, they could do it as many times as they want. There was no blowback from it. They didn't have to look at jail time. They figure, well, if we keep doing it, eventually we'll make it across. And believe me, the Republicans wanted that to keep happening. Okay, what they didn't want was to see that Title VIII sunset. Okay, so when the other one was put back into place before, Abbott decides to become all theatrical about the situation down there by putting up barbed wire and floating walls and building walls and, you know, all the stuff that I just read to you. All this stuff out there just to, you know, try to put on a show for the rest of the country to say, look how bad it is down here, that we got to do this. And that, you know, their people are pushing people into the water and not giving them water when they're dehydrated. And, you know what I'm saying? He's turning the situation, Greg Abbott is, into a problem that really is not Biden's problem. It's his problem because he's escalating it. All right? And so this is something here where, you know, people are going to have to realize that, you know, the truth behind this is, you know, Greg Abbott is the one down there pushing the buttons on all this stuff. He's taken it upon himself, okay, to step over decency, step over what, you know, they supposedly believe in order to create a scene in the state of Texas that shows immigration is completely out of control down there, okay? Because they can't allow Biden to have this success in his administration of being able of having controlled immigration to some degree down there, because the policies that the Republicans put in place weren't working, but the old policy is working now. It's doing what Donald Trump was suggesting to everybody when he campaigned, that, oh, we have to build a wall to stop this from happening. Okay, yeah, it was a wall, you know, that he wanted to build in the first place. But, you know, the thing of it is it was you know, what was going on down there was ridiculous. You know, not, you know, just keep picking them up and sending them back over and over again. Yeah, these people figure that if there's no punishment, why should we stop? Well, now there is, and they know that, and so they're not going to take the chance as much. There's still people that'll go across, but it's not going to be as many. And what they're doing here by trying to, you know, kill them, to try to send a message to Mexico, you know, I mean, and send to the country that, oh, Biden, see, this is what we got to do because Biden is not helping us at all down here. Okay, we got to start killing people. Okay, and that's shameful. And I really think that Biden really ought to send in federal a response team down there to fucking put this shit to bed. Okay, to stop this from happening. And I would suggest, if there's a way to remove Greg Abbott from office down there, they ought to take that step too, because I don't think this guy is on the level here in any fucking shape, way, or form. He's done so much bad crap since he's been governor down there that I can't see why there'd be anyone down there who'd want to put him back in office. He's a nightmare. Just like DeSantis is a nightmare. DeSantis with his own private little military he's trying to create down there, and that's answerable only to him. Where in the hell in the Constitution does it say that he's allowed to do that? Create a militia that's only answerable to the governor. Bullshit. If your state is a member of the fucking union, then it's answerable to the president. So I don't see how people can have governors like that running their states, doing what they've been doing, which is not helping anything, period. Not a damn thing since they became governor. Why the federal government just can't do something to get rid of these people, because they're basically trying to landmine everything Biden tries to do, and at the same time, every time they put on the landmine and it blows up, they say, "Oh, it's the president's fault, not mine." He's the one that put it there, not me. I didn't do it. That's what they're doing. And people that are living in these states, you got to wake up and understand that you're being lied to by these folks, okay? That there's always a fucking agenda behind everything that they do that they're trying to get for themselves. It has nothing to do with your better living or anything like that. They're in this for themselves, okay? That's what they're doing. That's why they're throwing mud at Biden at every opportunity, because they hate the idea that he's succeeding as president and a lot of different things, and they don't want him coming back for another 4 years. They want to put one of their own back in there so they can continue to derail this country as they were doing under Trump. They want to keep doing that until this country is practically in pieces, like a third world country all over the ground. That's what they want. They don't want a government here anymore. The states, I think, or the red states, they want to govern themselves as little countries. Okay, that's what they want. They're tired of the federal government. Well, you know what? They had presidential powers in this country more than once, and they had all the time that they needed to make things the way they wanted to. But guess what? It wasn't very popular with people and voters. The voters didn't like the ideas they were coming up with. Okay, they didn't want to be put back into areas of our history that were very destructive and very inhumane. They didn't want these things. People were smart enough at a time when people realized that, hey, look, if we do this, we're going to end up going right back to this problem we just got rid of here not long ago. And now look what they're doing. They're not even hiding it now that this is what they want to do. They want, get rid of all abortions, okay? That's another way big step back for women, okay? And forget helping kids go to college, and let's bring back segregation in college. These things, all they want to do is just tear this country apart. That's all they want to do. I don't see how anybody could see these things as positive. I really don't. I really don't see how it can be a positive thing. And instead of trying to work with people to, try to make systems work better, because if it doesn't work good enough in their eyes, then let's sit down and discuss one that works better. They never have a backup system in place or ready to present when they complain about things like Obamacare or something like that. They just want to get rid of it, but they've got nothing to put in its place. Then, because that would require that they have to believe that the system they had before was flawed too, right? So if they believe that, then they would have had something to replace Obamacare with. But they didn't, because they don't think that anybody should have a better system than what we have. They think people should pay through the fucking nose for their health care. Only civilized country in the world, okay, that does that to its people. How free do you think we are in this country anyway? Really? How free do you think we are? I mean, when we look at other countries and how they deal with things like that, we never hear too much about how their system is set up in place and how it helps them. We're always told that, we should be insured and we should pay premiums, and we have to accept that they ain't going to cover everything and you're going to get big bills. That's a fucking circus. That's a circus that we don't deserve to have. in America. If we are the ones who are considered the government of this country because we select our leaders, and our leaders are, as soon as they're in power, are the ones giving us the shaft, you know, who the hell really is in power in this country? Is it us, the voters, or is it them, the politicians, covering each other's ass as they go? You know, I feel like this is really a question that, you know, we hear one answer of when we grow up and we go to school, but when we graduate and we're out in public and we live our lives, we find out, hey, you know, that wasn't really quite honest. You know, what the teachers, they were telling us what was in the books, but in reality, it is all different, altogether different, you know. And so I feel like what Greg Abbott is doing down there in Texas is on him, not the president. It's on him. He's the one that's got to own this mess down there because he created that problem. Okay, he didn't have to put the barbed wire in the water. He didn't have to have troopers pushing people in the water to drown, okay, or push them out into the deep ends and stuff like that, and letting kids and, you know, and mothers die. He didn't have to do any of that stuff because the immigration frequency had dropped 30%. The problem was getting under control, and if he had to just instead worked with President Biden to try to increase that in some way that wasn't barbaric, you know, you'd probably see a lot less going across. But no, instead he just decides to go over the head of the president and do what the fuck he wants in there, and then turn around and make a big theater thing, spectacle out of it, and say, oh, see, look, the president's he's making things worse down here. We got, you know, that's what he's doing. It's like, you know, when somebody's bitching about, oh, we got too many house fires in this neighborhood, and you find out that the goddamn guy that's bitching is the one setting all the fires, and, you know, he's blaming it on the mayor. You know, that's what he's doing. That's what Greg Abbott's doing. It's a childish maneuver, and people can see right through it, I'm hoping. But it's a dumb thing that he's doing, and he's in his way trying to set a trap for Biden. You know. So anyway, so that's it for today, and I hope everybody has a great rest of the week. So please subscribe, comment, keep your ears open for COVID-19 news, and treat each other nice out there. You know, be kind, and try not to step on anybody's toes if you can avoid it. Avoid conversations that you know are going to lead into a fight, and you guys know what they are. And you know, just, you know, treat each other fair. God, I mean, it's not that hard to do. It takes very little effort, and when you know, people remember when you're nice to them, okay, they might come around and help you out one day when you need them. So take care, everybody.